Rob Dillingham is too smooth.
Said it, I'm golden. Told you I'm shining. Had to break through. Plan perfect timing.
So I'm sure, like many of y'all, my first experience watching Rob Dillingham, and that's really what it was an experience. It was back when he was with OTE, and really I saw the highlights, I saw the TikToks, and the dude was electric. That's really the word that I keep hearing during my research of Rob Dillingham. He's a guy that can absolutely set an entire arena on fire. I mean, he was out there shifty as hell, embarrassing defenders, step back threes with no conscience, kicking his legs out, not even setting his feet, but just cashing everything, having the whole arena lit. I mean, just listen to the announcers on some of these plays.
Okay.
Davis
Rob Dillingham
salivating. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Show me.
Fraud.
Anyway, all right, 4 minutes left.
Bro! Yo! What? Here we go.
This is the.
Oh my God!
No, he looked up
Nate.
too.
Nate! Oh Nate! My God! Are you serious?
Now, I really wasn't a big OTE guy. I like the concept. Basically, it gives high school players an avenue to sort of get paid, but also work on their craft if they have NBA potential. And at the time, I didn't know how legitimate it was, but obviously you had the Thompson twins come out of there, both a sir and a men, and both those guys look like they will be really great NBA players. And you also have Rob Dillingham, who obviously got a D1 scholarship to Kentucky, so the biggest basketball school there is essentially. So guys that are in that league are the real deal. And at the time when I saw those highlights, I didn't think he was anything more than just a highlight guy. You know, that was really in the era where all these YouTubers thing kind of started, where guys go to a court and just try to get a bunch of highlights, right? So just seeing how shifty Dillingham was, I didn't think he was a legitimate player. And then I saw he was going to Kentucky. And of course, the season goes by. Kentucky, they do fall short in the tournament. But on the year as a whole, Dillingham just had an incredible season. His numbers on the season as a whole were 16, almost or 15 points per game on 47%, almost 48% shooting from the field, and over 44% shooting from three. And that's on 4.5 attempts a game. So you're talking about a guy that's well over 40% on relatively high volume for his position. Those are incredible shooting numbers. So needless to say, the guy is a bucket. The rest of his numbers aren't necessarily relevant. I mean, he got you 4 assists to 2 turnovers. That part is not too bad. And he did get you 3 rebounds, which isn't that bad either considering his size. But I don't really think he projects to be a point guard at the next level. I think he does project more to be a Lou Williams, which is really the main comparison that I've been hearing when it comes to Rob Dillingham. I also heard like Bones Highland, because that was also a guy that had great shiftiness coming into the league with Denver. Now, you could say from a Heat fan perspective, there's another guy currently on the Miami Heat who has a lot of comparisons to Lou Williams, and that would be Tyler Hero, another Kentucky guard. So you could say there's certainly fit questions there, but I'm going to kind of give a little scouting report on Rob Dillingham before I kind of say how he fits on the Heat. Now, it's a surprise that I'm even making this video, right, as Dillingham as a potential prospect for the Heat, because a month ago, 2 months ago, he was mocked as high as number 2 in some drafts, which at the time I thought was just crazy. And even most mocks at the time had him, around 5. But then you had the combine, his official measurements come in, and he was only listed at 6'1", with a 6'3" wingspan, so a little bit of a positive wingspan there, but he was also weighed 164 pounds, which is obviously very, very small. Now, I knew people knew that he was small, but I think just actually getting the real numbers, that's sort of the reason that we've seen him drop in the mock drafts recently, because even Yahoo Sports had him at number 16, and both Bleacher Report and The Ringer, which is led by that bum Bill Simmons, both those outlets have him at number 11. So I think that's pretty much a fair range for him, anywhere from 11 to 16, and obviously the Heat fit right in that at number 15. Now, as far as the weight, 164, that would put him at like the 3rd lightest player in the NBA, but it ties him with Trae Young, who's obviously an incredible player. So not saying just because you're weighing in the 160s, you can't be a great player. You certainly can, but most of the other guys on that list really aren't contributors. Like actually the lightest player in the league is Jacob Gilyard, who's also 5'9", so he's even still a little bit more stocky than Rob Dillingham, who's 6'1" at the same weight. But most of those guys aren't great. But Rob Dillingham certainly has the talent to be absolutely incredible. Let's talk about his offense. I guess the word, if you could pick one word to describe him other than electric, it would be shifty. He is shifty as all hell. His change of pace game is ridiculous, and that's a skill. Being able to stop on a dime and pull up, especially at his young age at 19 years old. Didn't even mention that was only a freshman at Kentucky, and he's coming in with this kind of offensive skill set. That is crazy. And having a change of pace game like that, being able to be just that much faster than everyone else, and not only move downhill fast, but laterally with that kind of speed, that to me is a sign that he will be able to get his shots off in the NBA as well, because he has elite shiftiness even on pro level already. So for those reasons, I do think he'll still be able to get his shot off even at his small 6'1" frame. There was some questions though going into Kentucky about like whether he could actually be a team player or whether he was just sort of a more selfish, ball dominant guy. Those questions were eliminated at Kentucky. He played a lot of off ball. He was very good at it, shot off ball, his percentages off ball shooting were great as well. And just his percentages overall. I mean, I said he was almost 48% from the field, 44% from three. You're not a shot chucker if you're shooting those percentages. You're not taking bad shots if you're hitting them at that high a rate. So if you're one of those people that has just, seen the Dillingham highlights, but you're not too familiar with his game, he's not a shot chucker. I wouldn't really get that in your mind that he's some sort of inefficient, let it fly, J.R. Smith type of guy. Maybe J.R. Smith is not a bad comparison either, because, Dillingham is still athletic. You saw that windmill dunk he had in the intro that I put? My God, doing that at 6'1" is crazy. But point is, I do think his efficiency is a little bit better because I don't like those just shot chucking players. I really don't. He also provides a lot of rim pressure though, since he is so fast, so it's not just jump shooting, and he does have a variety of moves that allow him to finish inside, particularly his floater. He has a great touch around the rim with that push shot, and that's how we see a lot of these smaller guys be able to score inside as well. Trae Young was great on that. Obviously, Tony Parker had a phenomenal floater, and Dillingham does have that too, which I think is a critical shot to have if you are someone of his size. And he does have some other moves to finish over bigs, can extend to reach out with both. Well, he's not great with the left hand, I read, but that'd be an area for improvement. But he can reach out with his right hand. He's very crafty with the angles. He finished 55% of his shots at the rim, which for a guy of his size, I think that's a pretty good percentage, the 55% there. And he's also knows how to use his body. Some of these smaller players, you can still use your body to sort of bump into defenders to create some space and really get some leverage there, or create an angle to not get blocked. I noticed he's very good at that too. That's something that like Isaiah Thomas was very good at when he was with the Celtics. So even though you're small, you still need to know how to use your body, and Dillingham is very, very good at that too. And on top of that, when he does get into the paint, he is able to sort of facilitate off the drives, drive and kick game, which I do think is important because outside of like Terry Rozier and Jimmy, the Heat don't have a lot of guys that could provide rim pressure, and I do think that he does that. The defensive concerns are obvious. He's not great, but he's not the worst. He's essentially as good as someone who 6'1" possibly can be. He's not like a Muggsy Bogues. He's not really hounding guys like that, but he does use his speed and he does use his effort to try to make it difficult for other opposing guards, but that's really all he's ever going to be able to guard is other point guards. But I've read he's also not super smart on defense just because he's never really had to play defense in his career. You can imagine a guy with his skill set is probably conserving most of his energy for the offensive side of the ball, but I do think he can at least learn to be a better defender so he doesn't get as lost navigating screens, off ball, that sort of thing. So for the Miami Heat, would I like Rob Dillingham? He's such a good offensive player. It would be stupid to say no, especially since you feel like you're getting such a high value prospect at number 15. So I would not hate it because the Miami Heat certainly need scoring, and that is something that he provides, no doubt about it. But I don't think he'd be one of my favorite prospects. I really don't. I probably still have Isaiah Collier number 1, who most people even disagree with that because they want some size. And I get you there because I posted a Deron Holmes video a couple days ago. Deron Holmes, he might be my favorite. Him and Collier, they're like 1A, 1B. But the point is, both those guys are obviously bigger. Deron Holmes is obviously, but Isaiah Collier at the guard position is like 6'4", but he's built like a tank. and he's a guy that will power through people in the paint. And I do think because of his stature, Isaiah Collier is pretty, muscular, strong. I do think on the defensive side, he has potential to be an elite, sort of point of attack defender there, and maybe guard 1 through 3 even, considering, his size. And that's something Rob Dillingham will never be able to do. I know Isaiah Collier has shooting concerns, but you can work on that. I think Dillingham's just small, and he will be built that way. Obviously, all this stuff is sort of contingent on what moves the Heat make. If they were to trade Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier, some of their bigger contracts, to get someone else, maybe a Lauri Markkanen, well then hell yeah, they're going to need scoring off the bench. Give me Rob Dillingham. So there's a lot of, variables there. But as things stand now, I love Rob Dillingham. There's just some other prospects that I personally like more. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Do you think Rob Dillingham has superstar scorer potential? Do you think he would fit good on the Miami Heat? Let me know down below. I'll be keeping the draft coverage heavy because the draft is coming up on Thursday next week. June 26th, I believe, is the date. So I will have my official updated rankings for the Heat, 1 through 5, which prospects I like the best, who the Heat should be looking for. But I want to get some of more of these individual player comps out just before we get to the draft. My goal is to, whoever the Heat draft, I want to have a video on them already done. Like, I want to have already talked about them. And there's a lot of guys that they could possibly pick. So I think I'll have a Jacoby Walter video coming up, maybe a Tyler Kolek video, Tyler Smith video. I'll see. Point is, like the video to help the algorithm, and subscribe to, because I'm on the grind to hit 5K subs by the start of next season. And I'll see y'all for the next one. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.